My beloved Saint-Germain, blessed Portia, I am indeed privileged to be introduced by you and to be received once again at Camelot, by your grace, by your leave. Therefore I come, the servant of freedom, and the servant of the God and Goddess of freedom of the Aquarian age. Most blessed hearts, we are privileged together to witness the holy fire of our Master of freedom. May our hearts pour out to him for his magnificent address and the touching of our hearts as never before. In the service of the great cause, let us commune together in God's holy will. I must tell you that it is the heart of perfect love for freedom that has burned in the very breast of Saint-Germain, that is given to me my own calling, my own fervor, and my determination to serve his cause, to found the Darjeeling Council of the Great White Brotherhood, and to dedicate it to all for which Saint-Germain has stood these many hundreds of thousands of years. Blessed hearts, we share together the determination that there is nothing too small or too great, which when asked for by Saint-Germain, we will not do, we will not cherish, we will not pursue, we will not give our all to the consummation thereof. Therefore our hearts are attentive to his word, and we must agree and say, Abba, Father, come into our hearts. Our noble knight commander, let us now, by your magnificent causal body and that of the great divine director, come to the understanding of how to implement your plan for world freedom. My beloved Saint-Germain, I would rededicate anew the fervor and the service of the Darjeeling Council to you in this year of great determinings on the world scene. Therefore I open the Darjeeling Council chambers to Chelas on the path who would participate in the planning and the building of a new world, and especially the very practical necessities of our inner retreat. In one sense it is a bridge for the golden age. In another it is a life preserver to all light bearers upon earth, for the exigency of the hour, and even for emergency, should world emergency arise, and we pray that it not arise. There is then the balancing of light coming forth from your hearts, going forth throughout the world, that is holding the balance against the rising tide of darkness. As the fallen ones are judged and their followers take up the frenzied dance of demon-like entities, then we realize that the more frantic the fallen ones become, the more aligned, the more harmonious, the more disciplined and free-flowing our own must be. Above all, do not become caught up in your own rigidity, for the demons are rigid, and they would entrap you into their mechanization man, false hierarchy pathway that is not true Chilaship. Above all, remember the word mobility is the sign of the accelerating Chila and of the advanced soul. Mobility of heart, adaptability and flexibility, for the earth is in the throes of change. The world will change. You must change with it, but change for the better, if thou must change. For God has decreed it, and the law of self-transcendence has also decreed it. I come then with a word to the wise on the practical implementation of the will of God, for I have set myself and placed my anointing upon those who represent me, that we will indeed set forth a most practical plan of action that will work and that will prosper and that will open the way for many to find the path of their own soul liberation. We seek not a Pied Piper's dream where all follow the messenger into the mountain and never return, but we seek the mountaintop experience for all, that you may have that contact with Yahweh as Moses and go to the very heart of the Mount of Transfiguration with Christ, finding in the mountain the very heart of Sanat Kumara. You then must go forth and deliver the tablets of the law to the world and the understanding of the true inner teaching of the path that is the homeward path. We go into the mountain to pray. We go into the mountain to work and to raise our children and to educate them. We come out of the mountain to find the lost sheep of the house of Israel, and therefore we are runners in the race of the Lord. The inner retreat is no anthill. It is a beehive of cosmic activity directly connected to the heart of Venus, not composed then of warrior ants or those who are the mechanization man consciousness. It is comprised of creative hearts that attune to the creative mind of God and are one. And when they sing their song of the work, that sacred work of the hour, their song is one, their harmony is one, and their note is one note. It is the note of the Om, the universal Om of the living word. This is our dream of the ages. Have we not penned our utopias? Have we not longed for the gathering together of the light bearers? Have we not secured a constitution of rule by law based upon principle in attempt to push out the fallen ones? And have they not also penetrated to the within? We will expel them, we will overturn them, but it will be not done unless it be done by bright hearts, illumined minds, and fervent souls who recognize the enemy and recognize the self and who know the twain and are able to discover the difference. Do you think that the enemy that lurks within you is yourself? Blessed hearts of all states, this is a most miserable one, to champion the freedom of the enemy that lurks within thyself as the pseudo-self, and to fail to give the freedom to the soul to be who he really is. Take care then that when you champion human rights, these rights be the crucible for the divine right of your soul to be freeborn, not only in the physical sense, but in the spiritual sense of the freedom to strive, the freedom to create, the freedom to be free from tyrants, and to choose one's family and one's friends from among the brotherhood of light. Freedom to have the integrity of heart, freedom to let your chakras shine, freedom to speak to me at will, to send me a missive of your heart, to send me a love note and a tender forget-me-not. For I cherish the moment when you forget not my purpose and my cause, inasmuch as it truly is the cause of Saint-Germain. Thus I come also with a proclamation in support of the proclamation of independence. I come with a light and a fervor that God's will liberate you and all your forces from enslavement to enslaving habits and the addictions just beneath the conscious mind that would tear you from the very fabric of your wholeness and your Christhood. Maitri awaits even at the door for the initiation of the Christ and the Buddha within you. And you implore to leave off from those practices that are not of the light and that only slow you down and deter you from your inner victory. I am your Father, and I am the one who stands returning then to Avalon, returning to that point, returning to an island of a green valley that I have foreseen and that I have known. Come to the heart, come to the cradle of the inner retreat. Come where I may show you where there shall be the birth of a new civilization. If you make it secure, if you win and choose to win and not to lose, and confirm that which I affirmed, then I promise you the entire Great White Brotherhood will summon you and draw you for the Conclave of Light, the Freedom Conference 1982 in the Inner Retreat. Will that not then be a mighty day? I say that is a mighty hip hip hooray for Saint-Germain. So I share with you that I have taken the mother to the inner retreat and shown her the possibility that it is indeed a possibility and it can be a reality. But the planning must begin now, and the building, and the volunteers, and the securing of that closing for Saint-Germain at the hour of the celebration of the Ascension of beloved Mary. Thus we look toward August 15th as the date. We look toward the weeks following for the final securing of the necessary papers, for then we must move forward. And we also must be aware that even as winter draws nigh, so there are certain months and cycles that may be used of maximum benefit. Therefore, I say, let us get on with our presentation and our report on the inner retreat, and let all who are here realize what opportunities lie in store and what you may count on as your very first moment of stepping upon, even now, that sacred soil. Blessed ones, let us be seated. We anticipate that the momentum of spiraling to crystallization of the inner retreat will be accelerated as no other project or no other property has ever been in the history of this movement or other movements. For behind the entire momentum is a movement of light bearers, more illumined, more dedicated, and more involved in the science of the word than scarcely any have been, save for the fervor of the minute men and women of Saint-Germain under beloved Godfrey and Lotus. Beloved hearts of fire, many of you have reincarnated from that activity, and some have come from our other activities of a century ago. You have come from all places, from the Buddhist schools of Tibet, from the retreats in India, from the Himalayas, from our schools in Europe, and from the mystery schools and the earlier guilds. We have called you out from many areas, and blessed hearts, were we to open the book of life and tell the tale of your previous incarnations, you would all look around and find your illustrious selves having lived many times before and having built a momentum that is truly sufficient and may indeed be multiplied for a mighty victory. And therefore we project a 3.5-year spiral for a certain accomplishment that is to be accomplished. And we invite you to put your shoulder to the plow of work, of joy, of freedom, of building, of seeing with one's own eyes what can be accomplished. Is it not the dream? How it is the dream of hearts to live in peace, free from those who are the spoilers, free from those who in the midst of light and beauty will always espouse the lesser self and enter into sympathy with it, and therefore be the forlorn ones, the burdened ones, the downtrodden ones, who would, if they could, drag down an entire spiral of buoyant chelas, but they cannot, and they will not. And therefore let the sign of the inner retreat and of its co-workers be the sign of joy, inner joy, permanent joy, because God lives. And let us exorcise the gloom and doom from within every heart until the fullness of perfect love appear. Blessed hearts, we look also from the Darjeeling Council, and our concern is in the foundation of this administration and this nation and those who are the office holders. It is not that outer planning and outer measures are not positive and beneficial, but the foundations must be examined. Even the foundation of God government in America, of the fabric of society, of educational institutions, and of those who are directly responsible in Washington in this hour. The foundation of all God government must be the light of individual Christhood. We say then that there is strength from the founding fathers and from every noble soul who has ever walked this continent. There is strength, beloved hearts, and yet there is weakness, and that which is weak must be replaced. Those boards that have been worn out and become weak over the centuries must be carefully removed and replaced with new ones. Let it be seen then that one can rebuild from within as long as the pillars be strong, as long as the foundations of law, of the Constitution, and of proper representation by the individual Christ be present. In some areas, these are not apparent, and in others they are nowhere present. We search then to reinsert individuals with a true and lasting Christ consciousness into positions of key responsibility, positions that are pivots in the turning of the nation and the turning of the laws. And when the nation and the laws turn, beloved hearts, in many areas there will not be an undoing or a turning back without a mighty effort. Take, for example, then, the legalization of abortion and the declaration that the fetus itself is not a viable life at a certain point. This then, becoming a common belief on the part of some, becomes a momentum, and the ignorant take it up as excuse for their own sin, their own lust. And thus you realize how free men and women and champions of life must then galvanize themselves and work very hard to undo a preposterous decision, a preposterous opinion, a preposterous law. It comes to pass then that no matter how ridiculous, no matter how at sorts and at odds with true life and true science something may be, if it is spoken, if it is ratified by a group of legislators or members of the Supreme Court or confirmed by those in power, it requires much for the people to assemble the facts and the truth to undo a blatant lie. This is the price we have always paid for freedom and for liberty. When you think of the simplicity of the message of the living word in Jesus Christ, when you think of the all power of God that manifested through him, and yet for the very simple statement of truth, he paid dearly, as each and every one of us have in lifetime after lifetime. That supreme sacrifice and that giving of the great causal body of his life, that all might be free from the stain of sin, remains unequaled and by all means the central key of the diamond-shining heart of Christ to Western and Eastern civilization. Because he has lived and served, others have followed in his footsteps. Because the eternal word is, the comings and the goings of Maitreya and of each servant's son have also proven the victory of life over death. Think then how complex is the lie against truth, and how you who are in defense of truth must also write your tomes in defense of wisdom, in defense of love, in defense of truth, in defense of God, government, and the preservation of the Constitution. It takes much to undo when the fallen ones speak in nebulous terms, rally with much hoopla and much noise, and yet do not even have a single grain of sand of truth to back their platforms or their programs. And yet through all of this bureaucracy and red tape and the bringing together of many forces that holler and hoop for the lie, there must come the still and the silent voice of truth, the person of truth, the one who will stand and still stand and repeat the obvious, that all are born of God, and all are born free, and all have the freedom to be, to live, to learn, to love, and to enjoy the blessings and the bounty of the abundant life. Let us realize that simply because we know the truth, this does not give the full force to that truth that is required. Some men do not want truth. They will drown it out when it is spoken. Therefore we give it forth in drama, and we commend the students and faculty and the mother flame of Montessori International and all who have come together to put a soul that's free and fireworks on the airways of this nation and the nations of the earth. Hearts are being touched even in these very hours of celebration of the 4th of July. Hearts are reaching out and seeing the face of youth defending life and freedom in a most obvious, simple, and fresh way. Let it be done again and again. Let all who are a part of this community support these students who must now earn their way through college to prepare themselves for future leadership. Let their talents not be lost, for Saint-Germain has worked with them at inner levels and brought them together, and their faces are needed in this hour, because there registers the flame of their mother's purity, of her mild eye, of her torch that she holds in the sky, and of the book of the law which they are learning, and of a freedom for which their souls are yearning. I am in the eye and in the heart of every student of light. Then let those even who have graduated return. Let this be a summer of Camelot players working together to bring these scenes of the legends of America, the legend of the Wissahickon, and others that you have not even read, the stories of the intercession of angels and of overcoming victories in World War I and World War II by the intercession of the mighty Blue Eagle from Sirius and the Lord's hosts. There are dramas of freedom to be outpictured. There are noble stories that people will love. Wherefore, will we then simply denounce violence and murder and immorality on TV? Let us leave this to others, lest we ourselves become guilty of not lighting a candle in the dark. Let us work behind the scenes. Let us deliver packaged and ready-made films that may be put on the air, that tell the story of hearts devoted, hearts overcoming, that exposes the lie as no other can expose it, of marijuana and cocaine and creeping alcoholism, and of all these dread things that are yet upon the youth of this nation in many quarters. Let us realize that as the messages go forth in the fiery intensity from the altar of invocation, so they must be stepped down. Let the youth of America speak to the youth of America. I declare it, I proclaim it. May you uphold it, and may you see that it is done. My heart flames, dedicated to the holy will. With all of this fervor and all of this dedication, we who are in a position of leadership just beyond the veil must constantly consider how best to harness this devotion, how best to extract the natural resources of your beings, to galvanize all into a flaming sword and a torch of freedom. We must consider the most effective and valuable use of your energies and your services day by day. We ask you to help us by making known what are your talents and desires. How do you desire to serve, and how do you see that we can improve and our own staff can improve in our service to you? Look at this company of saints worldwide. Look at keepers of the flame. Look at the stalwart of experience, the mature souls who have had in some cases a half a century and more of experience in life. Look at the avatars being born. Look at new souls and new families coming together, all needing one another's youth, vigor, experience, and certainly the hoary head of wisdom, and those who are in their second sainthood, ready to lift their toes from the blessed earth and joined with angelic hosts. Let this be a community come full circle. Let each remember days of yore when those with whom you serve were together in different roles and different positions, when those who are young now were once the aged, and those who are the aged were once the young. Thus Father and Son, in the divine interchange, come to understand even the heart of the mother and the holy child. Blessed hearts, I, for one, look forward to the 4th of July picnic and another celebration through another fireworks of Montessori International. I look forward to your parade, and therefore I say, let us be up and doing. Let us go forth. Let us have fun together on the 4th of July, for the fireworks of our hearts are flying, and we are making our own number in the sky. We write where God does write. It is a prayer of love. It is an anthem to the free. We write the writing of the will of God. We write your hopes and your dreams, that angelic hosts may read them as they pass by, and know, if they do not already know it, that when they come to Camelot, they will find on earth many who cherish the dreams that they have held for millions of years. Yes, for millions of years, certain angels have held these dreams, which you now see so clearly, becoming a reality, becoming that real that I am, that you are. I am Morya, in the heart of the forget-me-not. I forget you not. I think of you always, in my prayers, in my joy, in my conversations with Mother Mary, and before the throne of God. I speak of you with tender fondness. I caress your hearts. I extend my hand. I squeeze your own to let you know that I am a friend on the path. Severe, perhaps, with unreality. But then someone has to play that role. Will you not then consider what human error you would roll up in a scroll, and think of what role must be placed there to do it? Will you not then assume that role, whatever it be, and become the adversary of evil in some form and say, I know about that one. I know what is at the core of that condition of consciousness. I myself will oppose it. I will take up the cause of Sanat Kumara, for Saint Germain is coming. He is coming to Camelot, to the inner retreat, and to my house. And I love him so much that I will not allow that particular momentum of human consciousness to remain. Therefore, I withdraw my sword from its scabbard. I hold it high. I thrust it into the very heart of the lie. Now, angels may pass safely by, and children of the sun and little ones. Yes, I will play my role at Camelot. God bless you, my own.